children do better than you had a chance to do. If you think about how that happens, it happens by having access to decent housing. It happens by having access to being able to afford tuition for your kids. Social and economic mobility, doing better, only comes when you have access to financial markets, only happens when you have access to assets, to be able to own something, whether it's in a bank or in the house in which you live. 1 out of every 4 loans made in New Haven is a subprime loan. 1 out of every 4. And if you think about who gets burned, it typically is the elderly, minority, low income, English as a second language folks, which sort of sounds like New Haven. That's who we are. We're a gateway community. We have people who come here who want to see themselves and their children do what? Do better. So it's critically important for all of us, for our children, but for one another, to be sure that we have not only access to loans, but that we have access to good loans, to smart decisions. Partnership by the State Treasurer's Office and Empowering New Haven to make this happen is so important for the people who live and work so hard each and every day, just wanting one thing, to see their kids do better. We're blessed in this community with a wealth of nonprofit organizations and for-profit organizations that make these efforts in our community. It's good to see you all here today. Congratulations to the partners doing this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And Althea Marshall Richardson, as you know, our President CEO, is sitting here. She's with us. She's allowed me to kind of have a few moments of things, so I appreciate that. And let's get guests will introduce. Next we have Lou Mangini, who's a congressional aide on behalf of Congressperson Rosa DeLauro. As all of you know, Congressperson DeLauro has been very involved with this issue, under consumer protection on every level. So Lou, thank you so much for writing for the mark from Congressperson Rosa DeLauro.
Tom, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Lou Mangini from Rosa DeLaura's office. I have a letter here from the Congresswoman, but also wanted to bring up some other things. Just wanted to point out that this is a very timely event. When I started researching for this, there are articles about what's happening with the subprime market all over the country. There's something here from the Seattle Times. There's something here from the state of Michigan, where this is a terrible problem for them. They have some of the highest foreclosure rates in the country. Of course, this has to do with money, articles in the Wall Street Journal, and it's even drawn attention overseas, where the Europeans like to point out our faults. This from the Financial Times over in Germany that just says flat out that U.S. home loans are more expensive for minorities, and that's what we're talking about here. As the mayor said, I know it's the people that are most likely to be targeted by these practices. Rosa, in her letter, of course, says that she cannot be here, but I just wanted to read you the body paragraphs of it. It's unfortunate that some of our most vulnerable citizens are targeted and fall victim to these immoral business practices. The promise and security of a home, the fulfillment of one's dreams, is taken away. Not only is your home at risk, but your future financial security as well. That is why programs like FlowerWise campaign are so important. I have no doubt that this program will become an invaluable resource for homeowners, as well as first-time buyers throughout Greater New Haven. I am indeed proud to support your efforts and look forward to learning of the progress of the program. And then go on to want to tell you that a couple of the things. Recently, Democrats, as you all know, took control of the Congress. In past years, these things have been overlooked, but I want to tell you that Congress is looking at these things now. If you look at some remarks made by Senator Dodd recently, he is going to introduce legislation to deal with the problem. If you look at the House Committee on Financial Services, they're holding a hearing on subprime and predatory mortgage lending tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. In Rosa's office building down in Washington, D.C. So there is a recognition of the problem on a federal level, and there is something being done about it. Until then, the only thing we can really do are programs like this, programs telling people that we have to be aware of these practices. We have to do the same thing with our family, with our friends. We know these things are out there. We know that there are some legitimate programs, but they're all too many bad programs. And then just one thing that I wanted to leave you with, my experience working in the office, there are 2 great programs out there that, if coupled together, can really make a difference in people's lives. One of them is the IRS's Earned Income Tax Credit, in which low-income, moderate-income people, depending on income and children, can receive up to a $4,000 tax credit from the federal government. That coupled with one of Connecticut's IDA, the Individual Development Initiatives, which are spelled out here in this envelope from the Treasurer's Office. Coupled with that program, which is a matching program, can really help people get started off on the right foot, whether it be home ownership, education, or so on. So thank you for your time. Rosa, again, is her apologies for not being here, and we appreciate this sort of effort in the community. It really makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lou. We certainly appreciate Rosa's support, also Chris Dodd's support. We're very, very fortunate to have leading advocates both in the House of Representatives and in the Senate insofar as the predatory lending, subprime lending issues are concerned. And we would definitely appreciate it. It's my pleasure now to introduce Carol Heller. Carol is currently with the State Treasurer's Office. I know Carol back from her days before that when she was first with, not first with, but when I first got to know her with Bank of Boston and then with Fleet Bank. And Carol has always been a very, very strong advocate for consumers and for sound lending and borrowing practices. So I'm very, very delighted to be able to welcome Carol and invite her up to say a few words.
Great. Thank you, Jim. It's wonderful to be here, and it's my pleasure to be here representing State Treasurer Napier. And really this morning, in being in the midst of a group of really dedicated, committed partners, community-based organizations, state-based organizations, public, private sector representatives who are really what the folks here are about to make a difference. You all are representatives in the community that can help address the issues of predatory lending. And as we talk about some of the statistics this morning, which are pretty daunting, it really is a call to action for all of us to hear, to work together, to work with our citizens in the community to be sure that we appropriately inform and educate them to be prepared and to know what to look out for. So I just want to say a special thanks this morning for Mayor DeStefano joining us, and Lou Mangini from Congresswoman DeLauro's office as well. It helps bring attention to the matter when we bring together representatives and leadership to really speak to the issues that we are dealing with in our communities. I'd like to especially thank our partners in this initiative, and Tom Ficklin and Althea Richardson from Empower New Haven, who've been instrumental in really pulling this initiative together this morning, inviting all of you. Jim Haley, a great partner in planning this initiative as well. We have Diane Mull and Cheryl McMillan from Consumer Credit Counseling Services and the Centers for Financial Education here this morning. And Diane and Cheryl have been wonderful partners over the long term in actually planning a variety of different credit education initiatives and helping coordinate this morning's event as well. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank other partners, including Fannie Mae, who helped us develop some of the educational materials, ACORN and the Connecticut Fair Housing Center, who provided educational resources and research for us as well to support some of our findings and to really encourage us to move forward with this initiative. It's my pleasure to be involved in launching BorrowWise in New Haven. And BorrowWise, for those of you who are not aware, is a program which was originally launched in 2004 and was brought to, has been brought to a dozen communities statewide. New Haven, and I can't quite say why, is one of the last communities, but I guess we brought the best for last, or we really rounded up the best for last. This has been introduced in communities such as Hartford and Bridgeport and Waterbury, New London, and New Britain, and a variety of other markets throughout the state, as an educational partnership that brings together education and community partners that work with faith-based organizations and local counselors to get the word out, to educate one consumer at a time, to help them make decisions. And at the State Treasury, we have a tremendous interest in helping people learn about how to develop sound personal financial management skills, because knowledge and understanding is so vital to our future, to us as individuals, families, as communities, and as a state. That's why we've been working with organizations throughout the state to help make this happen. BorrowWise, as I mentioned, was first launched in 2004, and the objective is simple: Educate and educate now. Prevent poor, unwise, high-risk borrowers from making decisions that have significant repercussions later. And the delivery system is simple as well. Develop educational resources and engage partners and networks. But it's highly dependent upon our partners. It's highly dependent upon all of you as community neighborhood-based organizations, homeownership and credit counseling organizations, faith-based leaders, foundations, educators, mortgage bankers, business leaders, and government leaders to pull together to make sure we get the word out there and we're looking out for our constituents and our consumers. At the Treasury, we recognize that no time is more important than now to educate before more vulnerable, inadequately informed consumers make unsafe, potentially disastrous decisions. As we can attest, and we've spoken about this morning, the last several months have been tumultuous in the mortgage banking industry, particularly as we speak about subprime lending. And you'll hear a little bit more about what defines subprime mortgages from prime mortgages later on this morning in the presentation. But I wanted to share with you a couple statistics which to me are riveting every time I hear them, and we continue to hear more updates as recently as late last week from our Senator Dodd. But here's some interesting statistics that I want to share. Out of all subprime loans made during the past 2 years, 1 out of every 5, that's 19.4%, are projected to fail. This level is unprecedented and reportedly represents the worst period or rash of home losses in the modern mortgage market. 2.2 million homeowners who have taken out subprime mortgage loans may face foreclosure in the next few years. And these are loans which could have been avoided through responsible, informed borrowing. The majority of subprime mortgages include risky factors that boost the chances of foreclosure, regardless of borrower credit history. For example, foreclosure risk increases dramatically when subprime lenders fail to consider the homeowner's ability to cover rising payments on adjustable rate mortgages, which we all know have become very popular lately. These loans already are more than twice as likely to foreclose than fixed rate mortgages. And although white families receive more subprime loans overall, African Americans and Latinos receive a much higher proportion of these high-cost loans than any other group. And to add insult to injury, national research suggests that 30 to 50% of all subprime borrowers could have qualified for prime rate mortgages. And the difference between a prime rate mortgage and a subprime mortgage is more than just the terms and conditions, which we all agree may put someone in a riskier situation if there are adjustable payment clauses or prepayment terms or conditions. But the simple difference in the interest rate between a higher rate and a lower rate can mean the difference between a loan that's affordable or not affordable to the consumer. So what are we all here for this morning? How can we continue to help borrowers be prepared and encourage them to move forward with homeownership, but help them at the same time to make wise borrowing decisions, hence borrow wise? Well, on one side, there's nothing more personally satisfying and potentially financially and economically rewarding than owning your own home. So we want to continue to encourage that. But on the flip side, the American dream of homeownership offers great appeal, and unfortunately, there are many out there that would take advantage of this American dream, of those who are seeking to pursue this great dream. And buying a home as a first-time home buyer can be daunting when you add up the language barrier and unfamiliarity with financial terminology and the inherent risks of various loan types and terms. The results can be disastrous. So we're all in this together. We need to help get the information that you all here learned about this morning out to help our borrowers and constituents make informed decisions. Help them learn what to be aware of. Help them understand the difference between a prime and a subprime loan and what the risks are and the repercussions of the risks that they're encountering. I thank all of you for being here this morning and being so dedicated to this mission. And I'm excited to bring Borrowwise to the New Haven community and look forward to all of your involvement. Thank you very much.